And welcome to our June edition of Sports Highlights. Greg Bickaveris, glad you're with us. Our kickoff to summer, our program since February of 1992. Our program airs on Mondays at 7 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m., weekends at 9 a.m. on Cox Cable 47, 517, always on YouTube, always on social media, and NNPS-TV.com. Our guests today are Rylan Harrison and also Matty Madden. Let's welcome Rylan Harrison, Movement and Mindfulness Coach. Good to see you.
Thank you, Greg, so much for having me.
My pleasure. You're from Northern Virginia, but you made your way to Hampton Roads.
Yes, I was born and raised in the DMV, and I went to college at Old Dominion University, went back home for a little bit after graduation, then made my way back down to 757.
Very good. Well, tell us what exactly does a movement and mindfulness coach do? I know the mind and body work together.
Right. So a movement and mindfulness coach really helps people identify the relationship between the mind and the body. So my whole career started, I got my certification to be a yoga teacher back in 2017. And then from there, I increased my knowledge to figure out how the mind and the body work in terms of movement, functionality, all those things. Mm-hmm. So my job is to help people move their mind first so that their body will automatically follow. So I do guided breath work, meditation, visualization, yoga, and mobility to help move the body move functionally from the day to day.
And I think we all need that too. And it really is important too, because sometimes when people are stationary inside, if they get up and move and exercise, their whole dynamic changes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Movement is medicine. A lot of times, a lot of different ailments, whether it be physically or mentally, can be counteracted by just simply taking a walk, taking a deep breath, or engaging in a routine that could be 5 to 15 minutes long. A lot of people think it has to be 45 minutes to an hour. All you need is 5 to 10 minutes to move your body every single day, and it'll change your life.
Exactly. As time, of course, does not wait for anybody. And of course, what is your involvement with Menchville High School?
So my involvement, I'm an assistant coach. I have been an assistant coach now for 5 seasons, but my main role on the court in practice in the locker room is to help the girls get mentally prepared and physically prepared with mobility, mindfulness, meditation, breath work. Also, help kind of manage any anxiety that may come up with their performance on the day-to-day, because as we know, the season is rather long and they're students first, athletes second, and so there's a lot of demand on them. And so I teach them emotional regulation, how to ask for help, and then how to utilize their resources so that when they leave our program, they are prepared for life and prepared to ask for help.
Exactly, because we always talk about it during our broadcast, how early the school day starts, but you have to get up at least an hour early before school. Eating is very early compared to, let's say, the normal person that might eat at 8 and 12 and 6. There's no pattern like that for them on game day especially.
Right, there's no pattern. So what we do as a program, we really identify what their day-to-day as an individual athlete looks like. What snacks do we need to have them prep during the day? I make sure that I bring snacks at practice as well. And on game days, our program is really, really well-rounded. On game days, every player provides the team with food, and we make sure that they are nutritious snacks for them to eat that have, the carbs and the protein to support their performance. We talk to them not only about, mindfulness and movement and skills, we also talk to them about nutrition to support in-season and off-season play.
Absolutely. Talking to Rylan Harrison, movement and mindfulness coach. She's from the DMV. She went to Old Dominion. What did Old Dominion do to prep you for all this?
Oh my goodness. My time at ODU was probably the best 4 years of my life. And in terms of prep work, in college, as you know, we have exams and lots of different things. And so I dealt with anxiety and depression in college. And one of the ways that I dealt with that was to move, was to work out. I found yoga in college, and on and off I kind of practiced to help just move my mind because I was just stressed a lot of the times. And so ODU, it was community. My friends and I, we had a great time. We loved working out together. We loved studying together. We loved partying together, all those things that you typically do in college. But it helped me understand the importance of community, identifying resources that helped me kind of move through my own trials and tribulations. And then it helped me stay active because I played basketball 6th through 12th grade in high school. And I chose not to continue just because of injury. So I didn't have basketball to kind of lean on them to manage, so I had to find something else.
But you could focus on your academics. But that's glad that you brought that up, because when somebody lives at home and goes to school, let's say like CNU, that might be a short commute if they live in Newport News or on the peninsula. But when you go 3 to 4 hours away from home, that's a different level of anxiety.
Yeah.
Where am I going to wash my clothes? Where am I going to eat at? The minutia, the mundane things that you take for granted living in the zip code of your college does not happen on the road.
No, it doesn't. And I'm glad that you pointed that out, because a big thing about being an athlete, a student athlete in general, is systems. What systems do I have in place to help support my day-to-day well-being? And that's one thing that I had to figure out on my own. I didn't have, my parents were great, but again, like you said, they were 3 hours away. And so I could call them for advice, but in terms of the day-to-day support, when do I wash my clothes? When do I study? Because no one's on you in college, to really do what you need to do. And so that has helped prepare me to give the girls what they need, because we talk about, identifying gaps of time in your schedule for sleep, to study, hang out with your friends, and it's really a player-centered kind of approach that we have in our program to help them be successful.
You're right, because nobody's going to tell you to get up and move. You got to do it yourself.
Absolutely.
And as far as exercise is so important, the dynamic now that kids are dealing with, especially K through 12, is get off the iPad, get off the phone, and go out and engage in the community, engage in sports activities, and just walk or run or do something. Whether you play a sport or not, it doesn't matter. But that phone and that computer, it's great resources, but it can also be opposite.
Right. It actually, device time, phones, tablets, TV, what have you, it actually does a number on the nervous system because of the lighting, because of the imaging, the colors, all of that takes into play. And so what you find is that a lot of players, if they are not taking time to sit in silence or meditate or to just be off their phones, they have a really hard time focusing. A lot of times you'll see players, they're on their phone, they're watching TV, they're listening to the radio, they're talking to a friend. There's so much stimuli around them that when it comes time to really focus and hone in, if they don't have that additional stimuli, that they can't focus and produce. And so a really big important thing is to cut off screen time. I mean, these iPhones now have amazing tools, Androids as well, but where you can put your sleep focus on, to where you have, or focus on at school, to where you're not getting notifications of things of that nature. But I feel like we got to take it back to the old school days where we came outside and we knew to come home and the street lights came on.
Yeah, because we used to play football outside, basketball. You don't see that happening that often anymore.
No, you don't. And I think a lot of it has to do with having spaces for kids to be able to do that safely. And so there's plenty of resources here in the city that I feel like we need to kind of optimize, having more of those like lock-ins where kids can just be kids and enjoy movement.
Well, let's talk about some diet stuff, and you're a good cook as well. Talk about some of your specialties.
Yeah, so my favorite meal is a baked sweet potato, veggie stir fry, black beans, and quinoa. Really, a balanced meal for me has to include a veggie, a carb, and a protein. And believe it or not, vegetables have protein as well. A lot of people don't realize that. And so I just kind of keep it simple. I meal prep on Sundays, and I don't cook again until Saturday. So my favorite meal go-to is veggies, black beans, and sweet potatoes.
You never used to hear people talking much about sweet potatoes except for Thanksgiving or yams. Why is it that all of a sudden now more and more places have sweet potatoes?
Well, if it's a great carb. If you look at some of the other options that are a little bit more starchy, a little bit more heavier on the belly, and when you're talking about performance-wise, you want to have a carb that is complex, but it's not going to weigh you down. And it's just a great option, great healthy option. Very easy to make as well.
Yeah, exactly. Talking to Rylan Harrison, movement and mindfulness coach from the DMV, went to Old Dominion, has been with Menchville for several years, and it's really the balance of time for some of these girls that you coach in basketball too, because we talk about the early day start and the meals and all that, but it's academics, it's athletics, it's activities. June is a busy time for graduation.
It is. Shout out to all of my girls who are graduating this year. It's about managing time because the demand is heavy. The season is from November to March if you make it into post play, and so their schedule is very structured. They know when practice is, they know when strength and conditioning is. We have a weekly team meditation in season on Sundays where I guide them through a Zoom meditation, and they get a journal prompt to kind of help process their thoughts before games and before practice. So it's really all about identifying systems that support athletes to be their best.
Right, because it starts with the mentors, it starts with the head coach, and you got an excellent head coach.
Oh yeah, Coach Webb. He is an amazing head coach. He has created a system where he knows that he needs a support system around him, and we all kind of have our own roles to where he can say to me specifically, hey, Coach Wright, I have a player who I think really needs some extra one-on-one time from you. Can you talk to them? Absolutely. And it's just been a joy coaching with him and for him for these past 5 seasons.
Do you encourage these girls to play 2 or 3 sports, or really one is enough?
That's a big thing. Developmentally, when kids are younger, I highly recommend playing multiple sports just to kind of see what you enjoy. I think once you get to middle school, I think 2 is enough, and if you're going to play 2, then 1 has to be the main thing, and the second sport should be a support to whatever you're doing. So for example, if you are a basketball player, soccer or track would be great because it's conditioning. But when you get to playing 2 and 3 sports, 1, you have to keep the main thing.
What advice would you give to anybody, let's start off with young and old, just about getting out and moving?
It's as simple as taking a walk. I think we overcomplicate so many things. I think when it comes to health, wellness, and movement, everyone wants to do all the things all together, and then you become overwhelmed and burnt out. Just take 5 minutes of your day, go for a walk, take a deep breath, do body weight squats. A lot of things that we take for granted when we're younger kind of go to the wayside when we get older, like being able to sit and squat without using your hands, being able to walk upstairs. So best option would be take the stairs instead of the elevator. Go outside and walk. When y'all go to PE, actually maybe walk around the gym and don't just sit and hang out, because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Exactly, because you got to keep moving. You don't have to go to a fancy club. You can walk in your backyard.
Absolutely. You can walk in your backyard. You can shoot some hoops in your driveway. You can kick the ball around. You can do some laps around your cul-de-sac or your street.
Yeah.
Very simple.
When you get that sweat, it's a good feeling.
Oh, absolutely. It makes you feel accomplished, and movement is medicine. I tell you, when I'm really having a day where my mental is really taxed, the first thing I do is I need to go to the gym. I need to go work out. I need to lift something heavy. I need to go for a walk to help me kind of move through the minutia a little bit.
Yeah, because there's no cookie cutter. Life is going to throw curveballs at you daily, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're going to get hit by all ends.
Absolutely. And so to prepare for that, you have to implement mindfulness and movement. One of my favorite coaches, who's actually from the DMV area, Kara Lawson, said in an interview recently, is my players know that basketball, the game does not get easier. You just learn how to manage hard better. And so if you build up your toolkit, you learn how to manage the day-to-day challenges of life a little bit better.
Yeah, and Kara was a broadcaster. Now she coaches Duke.
She does.
Yeah.
She does.
Very good. Well, all the best to you and your family for the rest of 2026, and we will see you down the road.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Rylan Harrison, movement and mindfulness coach, and of course specializes with the Menchville Monarchs. Stay tuned for our next guest. This is our June edition of Sports Highlights. Stay tuned.
You're watching NNPS-TV. Catch sports highlights on Mondays at 7, 2, and 7, and on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. Visit us online at nnpstv.com to view all your favorite episodes. NNPS-TV, watching education happen.
And welcome back to the Virginia High School 1600 meter state championship. As we get back to the action, we see Miles Monpoint is gaining on Antonio Boyd for the first place finish. Oh! Miles Monpoint just tripped Antonio Boyd.
But Trayvon is helping him up right now.
Trayvon is helping him up as Trayvon just sacrificed his third place finish to help out Antonio Boyd.
Yeah, that right there is kindness and excellent sportsmanship right there by Trayvon.
And welcome to our second segment of our June 2026 show. So glad you're with us on Sports Highlights. Hope you enjoyed our first guest. Let's switch gears now to talk to the ODU adjunct instructor for the Monarchs, and that is Matty Madden. Good to see you.
Yes, good to be here, Greg.
How many people have asked you, are you related to John Madden?
Oh my gosh, my whole life, hundreds of people have asked me, and I always say the same thing, which is I wish.
Yeah, that's not the worst last name to have.
Absolutely. I think I'd be a lot further along in this career field if I were related to John Madden.
Which is a perfect topic. He really handled sports media very well. He did commercials, he did TV.
Absolutely.
May his memory be eternal. Let's talk about what you do day to day.
So right now I'm an adjunct instructor at Old Dominion, as you mentioned, and so the class that I teach is sports media and public relations. And so the main thing that I do is teach these students, who are mostly sport management students, have no background in public relations whatsoever. I majored in public relations as an undergrad, got a graduate degree in it as well, and worked at PRA Group as a public relations person for almost 2 years. So what I do is I teach them about the media ecosystem, about public relations as a profession through the lens of sports and sports media and that existing infrastructure.
And that's really changed. We really have to watch that landscape now because we're always on. Whether you type something wrong on X or Twitter or Facebook, whatever, YouTube, put a video out there, you are what you post.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a big part of your identity, your posting. It's all curated by you, and so people have a certain expectation of you. If they see it on your social media, they know this must be this person's deepest, most direct thoughts. And so what we do is, as you said, you are what you post. We do an entire class just on crisis communication. If you're representing someone or a brand, a person, an individual who did post something that was negative and has gotten a poor response from the audience, we learn how to respond to that and how to rebuild your image, sort of. So that's one of my favorite classes in the overall course.
Because of the national, international level of celebrities, it can be very toxic.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're talking about athletes here with a global level of fame. And so when they say something, it's heard. And so if they say something controversial, people want a response out of that.
And there are certain times of the week and day and night to post to get the most images, likes, impressions too. Now that evolves because the post doesn't go nowhere unless you delete it. But it seems like when you do it Monday through Thursday, let's say during business hours, totally different vibe than Friday, Saturday, or Sunday when people are not engaged as much and they're out, fishing or something like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. When I worked at PRA Group, we always made sure to post things in the business hours, just so that people working on LinkedIn in the professional world would see them.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes, the weekends, is a totally different dynamic, like we said. We're talking to Matty Madden. He is the adjunct instructor at Old Dominion. What did you love about the move from Northern Virginia to Norfolk?
Well, I love the beach, so I loved being close to the beach. I loved the network that I built at ODU, the people that I met. I was a 5-year member of PRSSA, Public Relations Student Society of America, and that is where I made the connections that have sort of built my entire career. Working at PRA Group, working at ODU, this current job as an adjunct, and even in August going to University of Cincinnati. All of that stuff is, I built that all through connections that I made through PRSSA. So it has been huge for me. So the beach and also my personal connections there at ODU. Those
exactly.
are the two things.
Talking to Matty, he's a adjunct instructor at Old Dominion, of course, and we mentioned the media landscape, but it's true for everybody. Whether you're young or old, you have some type of device access.
Absolutely, yeah. We're always on. We're always looking. We're always seeing thoughts from each other. And so the sports landscape has changed just in that it's always 24/7. So there's always stories, there's always things to respond to from that perspective.
So what's it like inside the classroom? You've taught Brendan Hedgepath as well.
Yeah, so in the class Sports Media and Public Relations, we just try to keep it as ripped from the headlines as possible. We want to teach the students that it's important to keep abreast of all the sports media on top of all the current events in sports media so that you know how to navigate that ecosystem.
Right. And media is always changing. We talked about that too. You don't see print as much anymore. Digital, linear. I think it's good as far as the media is concerned. Like, you look at the NFL and the networks that you see some games on Netflix, you see some on Peacock, you see on broadcast networks, then you have your cable and over the air. But it seems like every time there's a streaming service, there's a lot of backlash like, well, we can't see it, or we're inconvenienced. We've already got 10 other apps. We can't afford another one.
Right. We're kind of at a similar place where we were in the 60s when television sort of first started and sports started becoming broadcast, where we're sort of looking for ways that we can have the television rights for games all in one place. And it's fractured again because of streaming. It's Netflix, Peacock, Paramount Plus. It's all in different places. And people are sort of looking for ways to sort of bring it back and get it all in one place again. And so that's how you see the inception of things like at-home cable services like Fubo, or even over-the-top streaming services.
Yeah, like I do a podcast. A lot of times, podcasts evolve from radio shows. More people want to hear it on demand. I've got a friend that he just does a radio show and he doesn't post nothing afterwards. I said, you're missing out. You would put YouTube out of business.
Right.
I mean, YouTube, Odyssey, Spotify, Apple Plus, and podcasts are all meant for, on demand.
Absolutely. Podcasts are sort of, right now, they've taken the place of that radio had, where it's sort of the cheapest in-home entertainment that people just sort of have on when they're doing whatever. And the difference now is that podcasts, as you said, are on demand. Radio was live performances.
Right, and YouTube and Google are the same ownership. I mean, you have to have some type of YouTube presence.
Yes, absolutely. Hugely important to have presence across YouTube, across anywhere that your audience is. Number one rule of public relations and media is know your audience. So wherever your audience is, that's where you got to be.
Now, how's the dynamic for you now? You're up in Northern Virginia. Talk about how you're collaborating here.
So, Northern Virginia, I'm up there waiting to start my doctoral degree at the University of Cincinnati, working at a SoulCycle part-time, just sort of saving money. It's kind of in a similar place to where I was between high school and college, and between college and grad school, just sort of waiting for the next big thing in my life.
Well, you got a great school in your backyard there, George Mason. Have you ever thought about working with them?
My mom actually worked with George Mason for quite a while. And the thing is that right now, as a pre-PhD student, options aren't as open as they could be. Once I finish my PhD, I can sort of, teach wherever I want to go. So George Mason would definitely be in the cards, being close to home.
Yeah, and I'm a proud alum there, of course. And
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this too: are you surprised by the younger people, how engaged they are with iPads and gadgets? We mentioned earlier about devices. It's not just for adults, but the young people. Not only do they know it, they know how to communicate on it. They know how to talk to their friends in another state. Where when I was 12 or 13, I delivered the newspapers.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, we have to make assignments and make coursework that centers around that and centers around those changes. So a lot of my coursework has been like, how would you handle on social media something like this happening, or other social media hypotheticals?
Right. We've talked about athletes too. It's not just them. The ones that are being interviewed, they need to be taught manners and professionalism as well, because you just can't show up and wing it.
Absolutely, yeah. Media training, that's a huge part of media relations. Sort of curating a front stage and backstage personality, something that the people see that they know that you've curated, and then also what they see behind the scenes as well. That's also a part of your public identity. But you want it to go beyond just the typical media trained answers. You want to have a personality publicly still. You don't just want to give the normal, typical media-trained athletics answers.
Yeah, this show evolved from the Bicky show up in Northern Virginia at George Mason talked to Mr. Cummings and Mr. Price about it, and we kind of evolved it and kept it going. You need consistency, but there's so many options now available for everybody to really engage.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, across social media, traditional media, it's really a two-way model with fans and media entities.
Is there hope for our future media people out there based on what you're seeing in college?
Yeah, absolutely. Whether you're trying to work in media or trying to work organization side or in a firm in public relations, there's absolutely still careers out there to be in public relations. Public Relations Society of America, the Hampton Roads chapter, great place to start if you're looking to start a career in PR.
And folks, do it all. On air, broadcasting, behind the scenes. The more you can do, the more you can learn, the more you can network, the more you can collaborate. It'll help you. Somebody told me a long time ago, as you grow, so will your contacts grow.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't just network up, network to the side with the people around you. Yes, absolutely.
And appreciate you being on the June show, Matty. Great job today.
Yes, and thank you, Greg.
Very good. That was Rylan Harrison and Matty Madden, our excellent guest today. Rylan's a movement and mindfulness coach, and Matty is an adjunct instructor at Old Dominion, teaching us about academics and broadcasting and the media as well. Wonderful crew today to wrap up the June show. We'll be back in August. I want to thank our great crew led by Ray Price and his wonderful team. I'm Greg Bicaveras. Happy June, and we'll talk to you soon.